Welcome back to Balancing Acts. I'm your host, Linda Hamilton, a CPA certified exit planning advisor and systemologist. And today's episode is about all the compliance and housekeeping things you'd have to do with your LLC or your S Corporation, and even talking about which is the right entity for you. Nellie Akalp, the founder and CEO of CorpNet.com, has been gracious enough to share her expertise with us. So Nellie, we were just talking about really the pros and cons of each, but what are the steps if someone decides, oh, I've listened to this or I've done some research and I would like to become an S corporation? What are the steps they would take?
Great question. So for a business owner who wants to have that business entity be a corporation and then elect S Corp election and have the IRS treat their C corporation as an S Corp, what needs to happen is first that corporation has to come into existence by filing articles of incorporation with the Secretary of State's office in the state that that business does the majority of their business, i.e. their home state. Once that corporation is filed and the Secretary of State provides them stamped filed documents of their corporation coming into existence, then they have to file a form called IRS-2553 with the IRS. In order to do that, they must first make sure they're eligible for this filing by making sure one, there's only up to 100 shareholders. All those shareholders are U.S. citizens or resident alien of the U.S. And there has to only be able to be one class of stock. Typically common stock is the default, and that election has to be made 75 days operation has become effective, so 75 days from the filing date. And also all the shareholders have to execute by signing the IRS form 2553, mail it or fax it in the IRS, wait for the IRS to approve the election. Once that's done, okay, and all of this, by the way, is very similar for an LLC, okay? The LLC first has to form by filing with their Secretary of State articles of organization, wait for that filing to be approved, and then if that LLC wants to be treated as a S Corp for tax purposes, then they have to file that form 2553. So all of these steps are similar. Once either that corporation or LLC gets that approval letter from the IRS, guess what? First and foremost, if those corporate shareholders or those LLC members themselves want to take a paycheck out of that corporation or LLC, they have to register for payroll tax accounts, set up their payroll accounts, make sure they, partner with a payroll company that will process their payroll unless they have an in-house controller that's going to be doing their payroll. But they have to take all those steps. You can't just pay yourself, through a paycheck without setting up that employer tax account, whether it be the state unemployment insurance account, the SUI account, or that state income tax withholding account. So you have to set up those accounts. Otherwise, that in and of itself would put you out of compliance, and the IRS is going to charge you for back payroll taxes. So those are the steps. The other question is, Nellie, I have clients who, are not only setting up themselves, but they're paying, employees. They're hiring employees and they're paying these employees out of state. And guess what? You need to also comply with that. So let's say there's a corporation or an LLC that not only is hiring in their home state, i.e. in the state that that corporation or LLC is set up, but now they're hiring out of state in a different state. Guess what? There's nexus now. And guess what? That LLC or corporation has to foreign qualify within all those states that they're hiring employees. If that state's requirement is that, by having an employee in those states, that in and of itself is considered nexus. And if it is, they have to first foreign qualify that corporation or LLC as a foreign entity in those states. And also, before they pay their employees through payroll, they have to set up employer tax accounts in those
Right.
other states.
So let me summarize that from my CPA perspective. One, you to set up a payroll account, you create an employer account, like you'd create a sales tax account. That's number one. You tell them when you're going to start payroll, and then that's started. And then you take that number, they give you an ID number. Sometimes it's the same as the one you're already using, and you take it to a payroll company and they start to file for you. The same thing applies to other states. When you think about it, we have 50 states in the United States. It's like 50 different little countries. They all have their own rules. They might have rules around workers' comp insurance or disability. And so sometimes I have clients that since COVID, they're hiring in many, many states. But that does complicate your life some with these rules, because now you'll have to file not only payroll returns, even if they work from home, but corporation. So that's okay. Just be prepared for that, or limit yourself maybe to only hiring in a few states so you have a less complicated return. Nellie, let's talk about some of the year-end steps that even the common mistakes they make when they're actually getting started with their S Corp. What are those mistakes?
I would say year-end mistakes, or even common mistakes. One of the big ones we see is, filing in a different state other than the state that they're actually physically located in, and, doing the majority of their business. I see a lot of people going for Delaware, Wyoming, Nevada, and that being the hype. We thought Delaware, because there's such a hype about Delaware. At the end of the day, if you're a corporation or LLC and the majority of your business is within, state X or state Y, forming in Delaware, Wyoming, or in any other state is going to not serve you well. It's only going to subject you to multiple filing requirements and multiple laws and tax filings in both states. And guess what? Your home state is still going to come after you. So right. At the end of the day, general rule of thumb, if you're going to be setting up a corporation or LLC, file in the state that the majority of your employees are within. Your principal place of business is where you as the shareholder or business owner are residing, where your employees are residing, where your servers are required, are located. Another big one we see, especially at year end, is, that inactive business. They're an inactive business and they fail to close up shop prior to the new year. Well, guess what? It's only hurting you, because now you've let another year go by, and the state, as a corporation or LLC, is still going to mandate you to file those compliance filings, such as the annual report, paying another year of franchise taxes to the franchise tax board. Or another big one we see is failing to pay your franchise taxes, or failing to file your annual report timely, and then the state administratively dissolving that company. And here you are in the midst of a big transaction. They're asking for your corporate documents. They're asking for a certificate of good standing. And then it comes back that, your corporation or LLC is in bad standing. That's going to prevent you from doing a lot, because especially if you're a company who now needs to foreign qualify in other states, guess what? You're not going to be able to unless that home state's corporation or LLC is in good standing.
Yeah. One of the reasons I've seen some clients maybe form in Delaware and foreign qualify even in their home state would be, they're not going to stay there. So, I've had people, they're from Virginia, that's where their parents are from, but they're living in Texas, and they're kind of going to go back and forth. They haven't decided where they want to be. And so that might be a little simpler to withdraw from a state. It's harder to withdraw from what you consider your home state, I think. But again, these are things that you want to get some professional help. Too many people just go online and form their own entity, at LegalZoom or something. But there's thought that goes into it. So you're better off, even if somebody doesn't do it for you, talking through some of these questions so you'll understand that. And the payroll filings as well. You can have a lot of penalties for doing that, and you're responsible for withholding taxes. So it's important to understand the states that you're doing business in. How would you like to leave people at coming to the end of this segment? We've shared a lot of information. What would you say are maybe a few actions people can take before year end, for the small steps to get things done?
First of all, thank you so much for this opportunity. I've had a blast just being on this segment with you. So thank you for that. Number one, first and foremost, is you got a BOI filing deadline that was just mandated by the FinCEN.gov website for all new and existing corporations and LLCs. First and foremost, make sure you do the research, whether you're going to do it on your own or come to us. We can assist you with filing that BOI filing. If you're a new or existing corporation or LLC, we can also take you through to see whether you qualify and if you're even required to file a beneficial ownership information report. So that's first and foremost. Second is make sure if you're an inactive business that you close down that corporation or LLC, not only by winding down the books, closing up shop, making sure you tie loose ends, but you have to formally file a certificate of dissolution with your state, also known as articles of dissolution. Yeah. And that article of dissolution has to be filed for your home state. But if your corporation or LLC is also foreign qualified, you have to also file a certificate of withdrawals.
Right, exactly. And please let people know where to find you. Is it LinkedIn, just your website?
Yes. So for those of you interested in checking out my company, please go to www.corpnet.com. You can also send your inquiries to info@corpnet.com, or just pick up the phone and dial 1-888-449-2638. If you're also someone who wants to refer out our services or use our services and put them on your website, we also have an amazing partner program where you can partner with us just like Linda has and refer out our services to others. But at the end of the day, it's been a pleasure to be here on this segment with you. My name is Nellie Akalp. You can reach out to me via LinkedIn at Nellie Akalp, on Twitter at Nellie Akalp, on Facebook at Nellie Akalp, and you can send me any messages you like to info@corpnet.com.
Thank you so much, Nellie. I hope you will all do your homework and make sure you cover all the steps you have to take for your year-end housekeeping. Come back next week for another episode of Balancing Acts.